This episode is sponsored by JDAQA Software Testing, your scalable solution for manual, automated, security, and performance testing. Check us out at jdaqa.com. And with that, let's get on with the show.
This is The First Customer, hosted by Jay Agner.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the First Customer Podcast. My name is Jay Agner. Today, I am lucky enough to be joined by Jared Waters. He is the CEO of Mini Materials, a very cool company, something different for us, another Shark Tank product, or was on the show. Jared is over in Portland, Oregon. We had a nice little talk before the show. Jared, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing well. How are you doing? Thanks for having me.
You got it, man. You got it. I'm good. It's hot as hell over here. It's in the 90s. I think it's going to be that way forever. It's almost as if the globe is warming. So tell me the story, man, about you growing up. Where did you grow up, and did that kind of lead you to being an entrepreneur later in life? Do you have anything that influenced you early on?
So I grew up mostly all over Idaho. We've moved around a fair amount. One interesting thing is I went to a two-room schoolhouse, lived in a town of like 300 people, which is kind of a unique experience. But as far as being an entrepreneur, I think really the only big thing was just, moving around a lot. You have to make new friends. I'm maybe a smidge more introverted than others, but I think just due to my lifestyle, it helped me, kind of be a little bit more outgoing. And that definitely helps with being an entrepreneur for sure.
Yeah, that's a great point. I've actually heard that quite a bit. People who move around a lot as kids kind of develop that ability to embrace the uncomfortableness a little bit. Does that make sense? So, what was the first business you started?
This is the first business that I've started.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. And you mentioned before the show that you actually bought this business, which I find super interesting. I don't talk to many people who have done that. I've talked to some people who have done that, but tell me the story. Like, how and why did you buy this very unique, different business? I mean, if somebody came to me and said, "Hey, I have this mini materials company. Would you want to buy it?" I'm not sure I'd know how to answer that. Where did it come from? Tell me the story.
So the trying to find the best way. So the company itself started. One of the founders wanted to make these little bricks. He couldn't find anywhere to buy them. And so he made them and he actually posted them to Reddit. And they went viral on Reddit. He made the front page. And he had people saying, "Hey, I want to buy them. I want to buy them." So started making them out of his garage. Quickly was like, "I don't want to do manufacturing." And he had a college buddy that kind of took over operations, and they just kind of developed that out, sticking just a couple core products. Like one of the biggest things that we're known for are little miniature cinder blocks. And, they posted on Reddit again, went viral again. And that's one of the nice things about the product is it is cute and kind of has a little bit of built-in virality on its own. Um, and meanwhile, I'm working corporate financial publishing, actually in business valuation of all things, running a division company there. And I'm on Reddit just kind of looking, or I'm just on the internet looking for different types of businesses to, use for content. And I found this business, and I've been looking for a business for a long time. I'd thought about starting my own business, but at this point I have a family and things were really, a little bit of stability was required. So I was looking for a business to buy just so I would start with cash flow rather than starting from zero, and found the business on Reddit of all things. And the person was basically like, "Hey, I have this business. I don't really know where to sell it. And, I've been seeing like a lot of dry cleaners and convenience stores and just kind of watching the businesses for sale out there. And I really like the idea of something that was, could be based anywhere, was e-commerce based and had the potential to grow." And that's when I made the leap.
Why did they want to sell it?
So one of the partners was a little bit maybe not a silent partner, but they were located in different states. So, basically one of the persons was running things day to day and also was doing another job. And running a business is super intensive. And they knew they weren't focusing on it 100%, and they would love to see someone who would. And so it had just reached that odd stage where it was, more than something part-time, but not something that they wanted to devote fully or that they could work on together. So they just thought it would be a good fit to sell if they could. So
Hmm. And what was the actual sale process like? Like, how long did it take? Like, what was involved? Like, you were doing business evaluation stuff already, so you probably have a leg up on most people who are kind of coming in cold on some of that. Like, what was the process like for you?
So, you know, the initial due diligence is really just, they're sending me information and I'm evaluating if that's going to make sense for me. We first had a conversation in December and then we went and had everything completed by May. So it was
Hmm.
a pretty reasonable time frame for a smaller business. I think, bigger businesses maybe have longer transaction times, but yeah, I think a relatively a quick transaction there. I went out and, kind of toured their setup that they had and, then came back and did, just like a week of training and figuring everything out, packed everything up in a U-Haul and drove it it was in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and drove it to Portland, Oregon. So
Wow. And so tell me the process of making these things. Like, what's the general process? Are we in the shop right now? Is that where you are?
we're in the shop right now. Yeah. So we use a bunch of different things. So our kind of flagship product is a concrete product. So we make molds for concrete and we, cast batches of, 1,000 of those. And then we use a lot of, not necessarily cutting edge these days, but we use laser cutters and we have a bunch of 3D printers that we use for a variety of things. We use some pretty cool industrial printers. So that's one of the things that's really different from this business compared to most of the miniature companies out there is that we're actually making stuff in the USA.
Hmm.
Not everything we sell is in the USA, but the vast majority of it is. And that's pretty unique for something that's kind of a consumer product at that price point. So
Is there a lot of competition out there? Is there like other companies that do similar things as you guys?
there's a fair amount of people there's, it's one of those hobbies that and everyone's like, "Ah, man, I don't think that's a very big niche." But if you start talking to people, everybody like at least knows somebody that does something in miniatures. They're like, "Oh yeah, my grandma builds dollhouses," or my uncle makes like miniature die cast displays and things like that. So there's a lot of people out there. So there are definitely people in that. However, if you start looking at what everyone's ordering from the same overseas markets. And it's really funny. Sometimes you'll get something that, purchased through another miniature company, and you can tell that the person that made it, was making a miniature version of a completely different, like non-US product. You'll be like, oh, like, that's a miniature water bottle, but, we don't really consume like liter and a half tall, skinny water bottles, but they're really prevalent overseas. And so you'll get things like that, are miniatures, but they're not really what people are looking for. So I think that's a unique thing that we're doing is, the set of things that we're making are designed in the US, made in the US, and have a level of authenticity to them that you're just not seeing out there. So we're a little bit, standing alone there. Yeah.
So let's talk about your customers. Are you going to craft fairs and like that sort of thing? Like people building train sets, that sort of thing? Or is it more the guy putting something on his desk or buying something for his company that's kind of a cool, different thing? Like, who is your customer today?
Yeah, so we have a pretty unique customer base. So we definitely have like people that do crafting, make doll houses, make dioramas, people that do that professionally and things like that. That's maybe about like a third or maybe up to half of what we're selling to. And then we have, another big chunk that's direct to business. So we do a lot of promotional items like, people, will architectural firms, construction companies, lots of banks, lots of charities. They'll, be doing a fundraiser and they'll want to give everybody a little token. So, they'll buy little bricks because they're going to build a building with it. Or, different companies will have a cool product, but they'll want to, have sell samples that they can leave, at stores or, on customers' desks. So they'll be like, hey, can you make me 1,000 miniature X or Y? And we do a lot of that. And
You
then,
do a lot of different things. It's not just, I mean, I know there's different things than just bricks, but like how wide is your range of stuff that you're making?
yeah, so we have about 200 set SKUs of different things that we make, and we add maybe about like 10 a month or something like that are just new unique items. And then, we do a lot of custom off. Usually not. I don't do a ton of custom things for just like one off, but for like commercial clients, we'll make custom things like that. So,
Do you remember who your first customer was after you bought the business? And maybe not obviously the person's name or the company's name, but do you remember what the first thing you sold was after you bought the business?
so I use Shopify and you get the little ding. And so I definitely remember like the little ding and I like, and it was like within like an hour of like closing on the business. And so it's just like, and that's the powerful thing about buying a business is that, you do have that cash flows and customers and, things can be improved and they can still be improved. But that's definitely, that cash flow is what you're paying for. So, yeah.
How many units are you shipping, a month, a year, whatever? Like how many of these little miniatures just in general do you think you're pumping out?
Oh, I should have looked that up ahead of times. I mean, we're doing, you know, tens of thousands of bricks. Um, what's our order volume on a yearly basis? I Yeah, I would have to look that up. But I mean, we're doing, enough that I'm doing this full time, and I have people helping me do it. You know, I don't know, not crazy numbers, like maybe like 20. No, maybe like 10 orders a day average across all the seasons. Maybe we have a pretty high order value. It's nearly like $100 an order is what it averages out to. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that's you know, fair indication of the volume.
Yeah. And how are you guys marketing this stuff today? You mentioned kind of going viral a few times before you bought the business, or maybe even after. What are you doing to get out there other than obviously being on things like Shark Tank?
Yeah. So Instagram is our best social network that seems to consistently deliver good traffic. Very hit and miss. I had one video last year do like 1.5 million views. And then, other ones that do like 400 and it's not really oftentimes rhyme or reason about why one thing that, does well or doesn't do well. And then we're on all the other social media thing, all the other, Pinterest, YouTube, TikTok as well. And then we do some paid advertising and, just, and things like this where you get to talk to people and learn a bit about the business. We've been in, things like Magnolia Magazine and, a couple different books and things like that. So
Do you got a big crowd, like any of those big fairs for that kind of stuff?
I've done a little bit of that. I usually sell more online than I do at the shows. So I definitely focus more on, the scalable parts of the business, which to me is online. They're sometimes fun to go to, but they're a lot of work and a lot of time and not necessarily, I think, something that would be a huge growth driver
Right.
for us. Yeah.
What is the biggest surprise to you after buying the business? Something that was different than you thought it was going to be after you bought it?
Yeah, I thought like, one thing that I was very mistaken with is I thought I would enjoy marketing. I was like, "Oh, I enjoy, taking cute pictures and posting and things like that." In my previous life, I did a lot of stuff working with the marketing team on emails, and they'd be like, "Oh, that's a great subject line. We love that angle," and things like that. And so I felt like I had a pretty good hold on the marketing world, and I was not prepared for how just relentless it is, like, constantly having or constantly wanting to post, interesting creative things all the time, and, every week, we usually do, like, a weekly email and making sure that it's something that's interesting to the people that are gonna be reading it. All those things are so much effort and time, and I didn't expect that part to not be as I didn't expect that part to I expected me to enjoy that part a lot, and it's been the part that I've enjoyed the least.
It's a grind, man. It's a
It is.
real, you feel like you're part of the machine that you just have to keep feeding it. And you're like, Yeah, I do astrophotography on the side, and I was trying to kind of grow the channel on Instagram, and you get to 4 or 5,000 followers, and you're like, this is just so much work to like do this. It's not even fun at all. So, and even for our business, for the QA firm, yeah, and you have to be consistent to stay relevant in the algorithm and the machine. So that's very interesting. What's next for you guys? Do you have any big kind of plans? Is it just gonna business as usual, growing things kind of the way you're going, or do you have any new products? Or I mean, you said you have 10 a month, but any kind of major, initiatives or things you guys are going after?
Well, I mean, we're definitely, I kind of look to like Lego as like an aspirational brand and to see the things that they're doing really well. And we started to kind of as like a miniature Home Depot. We had all the building supplies, all the things to do, and you could take that and make whatever you wanted. And now we're starting to really move into building more kits so people can buy a box and build, X, Y, or Z. People just really love that guidance. So that's the big initiative of the year is to start putting together, more just like build it kits and then people can, kind of have fun with them from there. But yeah,
No, I love that.
following that Lego model, they seem to be doing pretty well.
They seem to make a couple bucks here and there for a little mom and pop shop. They seem to be doing all right. No, I would love. I mean, also maybe similar to your marketing thing. Like, it seems like it would be really fun. I would love to like build a little brick house with some mortar and stuff, and like that seems like it would be a fun thing.
Yeah, it definitely is just a very creative outlet, and the nice thing about it too is that, you know, unlike building something huge, you can just, like, it's, a little bit more like doing a puzzle where it's something that you can sit down and start it and finish it in a reasonable amount of time. It's a very relaxing hobby. So, the kind of interesting thing about my business too is that, I got about a 50-50 split between male and female, which most craft industry is, heavily weighted towards
Hmm,
females. But I, get pictures all the time from people saying, "Hey, I built this garage and I put my die-cast cars in there," and, things like that. So, yeah.
that's pretty cool. I like that. What's your take on personal brand as a business owner? Do you make it a point to kind of put yourself out there at all, or are you just more of a CEO that kind of just lives through the brand and that's what you're trying to promote?
Yeah, so with a small business, I don't feel like I can step away and, like, not be front and center, even though I don't necessarily want to be all I don't want my voice to be the background voice on all the videos necessarily, like, it's not but from where we're at with things, I definitely have to be. I have a colleague who runs a t-shirt business, and he just hates being on camera, and, it's just really limiting if you have to do things where, are part of the brand, and people like knowing that they're buying from a person. And, when people call up more often than not, they get me and I talk to them. And there's, something really powerful when you're like, "Hey, my name is Jared Waters. I'm the owner of the business. And if you have any problems, give me a call back and we'll take care of you."
Yeah.
So, it's not that I'm necessarily setting out to make, you know, people think, Jared and Mini Materials in the same thing, but I think you have to take ownership of the business and put yourself out there. So I
I
hope
love
that's a
that.
good answer. Yeah.
No, it's a great answer. I love that. What about partnerships? You guys have any partnerships with any organizations that kind of help you guys distribute the product?
We definitely have like wholesale accounts and people that we've worked there. We used to do like a specialty brick with Frank Lloyd Wright, but we just kind of wound that up this year. So there's, opportunities out there for sure. More on the corporate side, we're just doing, we're doing uh, creating unique things for people rather than I the word partnership, and I don't know if you get this a lot, but it's become a scary word because I get so many people that want to partner on something, but really what they'd like to do is for me to give them free stuff in exchange for something nebulous. So yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, no, I think they come in lots of forms. And certainly, I think a lot of times it's people just looking to get referral fees or whatever. But, the strategic partnerships what is what kind of excite me personally, just because like if there's some actionable way for me to partner with another business that can like both deliver value to the same customer, then like what, I mean, it's just a match made in heaven, and you kind of cross pollinate between, customer bases and everything else. So yeah, I think the strategic partnerships are great, but I totally hear you. We also get in that space where people are like, hey, if you want to use our platform for free, but also give us all your services for free. I'm like, those values are not adding up to the same
Same,
thing.
yeah.
so so I hear that. So real quick, so tell me about the Shark Tank experience, man. Like what, you know, I've heard about it, having to build your own set and bring all the stuff and all. What was your experience like just in general?
Yeah, really positive. So, I spoiler for anybody who hasn't seen the episode, I didn't get a deal, and, it's a pretty long process, which I think, you know, from looking at the show, it doesn't feel like it necessarily would have to be, but there's a ton of stuff that happens ahead of time where they're preparing you and working for you, and even the filming is, it's, like, people are like, "Oh, why didn't you talk about this or this?" I'm like, "Well, we did talk about a lot of those things. They just make it, for TV." So, but I'm trying to think about what I can talk about that's, if I don't necessarily think going on Shark Tank's a smart strategy for everybody, as far as even just, the application process is so time intensive that it's not something that I would recommend doing unless you have a business that would be entertaining for people to watch,
Mm,
which, it's first and foremost a TV show. The investment piece, comes right at the very end. So, and, I think it goes back a little bit to putting yourself out there. They're definitely looking for people as much as they are, businesses. And yeah, I think, yeah, I don't know if I really answered that question well. Is there anything
no, I
kind of
mean,
more
did you get
specific?
did you get the Shark Tank bump, after your episode was on?
I did, yeah, and then they re-air it, and then it's all on TV, so it's definitely been a good bump every time it's there, and it has a lot of staying power. People will be like, "Hey, I saw you like 4 months ago, and then just remembered you." So yeah, so
I love that. All right, last question, non-business related. This is more about just you as a business owner or a human being, but non-business related. If you could do anything on earth and you knew you wouldn't fail, what would it be?
and I knew this question was coming, and I should have had a better answer prepared. I mean, I don't I the failure thing doesn't really slow me down. Like, I don't know, maybe if I had like unlimited resources, I'd have a really different question for that. But I feel like I'm doing what I feel like I'm doing what I should be doing now. Maybe with the caveat of maybe like a YouTube travel blogger, if I could do that, I think that would be, something that I love to travel and have been everywhere, or not everywhere, but I've been to a lot of places, and it's a passion of mine. So I guess if I could do something that was just a passion of mine and still easily pay the bills without, maybe something like that would be a fun imaginary job. So
I love that. No, you're not the only one. I've gotten that one a bunch of times. Everybody wants to just travel, but still have the ability to have an income somehow. So yeah, you're not. I think we would all love to just just see
yeah.
everything, but also make money at the same time. All right, well, Jared, you're awesome, man. I love the story. If people want to reach out to you directly, how do they do that? And if you want to find out more about mini materials, where do they find you?
Yeah, minimaterials.com, info at minimaterials.com is the email, and it goes directly to me. If you like to kind of see the kind of stuff we do, check us out on Instagram at Mini Materials. And so, yeah, thank you.
Beautiful, man. All right, well, stay cool, brother, and good luck with everything. We'll talk to you soon. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for being on, man. See ya.